Good afternoon. Welcome to each of you, and thank you so much for being here. This is the Wasatch Front Regional Council. Today is Tuesday, August 24th, 2023, and it is 2:05 p.m. My name is Dawn Ramsey. I'm the mayor of South Jordan City and service chair of the Wasatch Front Regional Council right now, and want to welcome each of you. We've got outstanding people who serve as part of this organization, representing good folks up and down the Wasatch Front. Thank you to each of you who are here. I'm going to ask if we can start with introductions. We want to do that. So we'll start with who's here in the room first. Rosie, I'm just going to ask if you'll start. We'll go around the table. We'll do in the room. And then Andrea, if you'd please tell us who's online.
Rosie Hernandez, WFRC.
Jordan Chandler, WFRC.
Bert Granberg, WFRC Analytics.
Mike Sopchak, Communications Manager, WFRC.
Jennifer Elskin, Federal Highway Administration.
Mike Colwell, Mayor of Ogden.
Joy Petro, Mayor of Layton.
Carlos Braceras, Utah DOT.
Lauren Palmer, Mayor in Harriman.
Carlton Christensen, a trustee board member for Utah Transit Authority.
I was going to have to help him. Jeff Acerson, trustee of UTA.
The other Jeff Silvestrini, Mayor of Mill Creek.
Andrea Pearson, WFRC.
Andrew Gruber with WFRC.
Bob Stevenson, Davis County.
Mark Shepard, Mayor of Clearfield City.
Laureen Kamalu, Davis County Commissioner, but also we're actually here for Utah Association of Counties, representing all 29 counties in Utah.
Mike Newton, Morgan County.
Dan Canoop, Mayor of Brighton. Rob Daly, Holiday.
Scott Wardle, Tooele County Councilman.
Bob Nandoy, Roy City Mayor.
Ted Knowlton, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Meg Townsend, WFRC staff.
Lila Rosenfield, here in a personal capacity for public comment, but otherwise WFRC.
And Hewitt with UDOT.
Kip Billings, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Hugh Van Wagenen, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Jory Johnner, Long Range Plan Group, WFRC.
Cameron Deal, the Executive Director of the Utah League of Cities and Towns.
Andy Lee, WFRC.
Chad Worthen, WFRC staff.
Jay Mosqueda, WFRC staff.
Lauren Victor, WFRC staff.
Julie Burasad, also with WFRC staff.
Teresa Bramwell, citizen of Utah.
Ben with Rich, WFRC staff.
Wayne Benyon, also WFRC staff.
Susie Swim, WFRC staff.
Sarah Lawless, WFRC staff.
Bill Harris, WFRC staff.
Chris Day, WFRC Analytics.
Michaela Jordan, WFRC staff. Christy Delberg, WFRC staff.
Byron Head, WFRC staff.
Marion Florence, WFRC finance.
Miranda Jones Cox, Government Affairs at WFRC.
Okay, and I think we had Councilmember Newton.
Amy Winder Newton, Salt Lake County Council.
Thank you. And we have a new member joining us today. We want to welcome Representative Cal Musselman, who's here with us today. Representative Mike Schultz has been serving as a member of WFRC for the past 7 years and has some newly expanded responsibilities happening in his role at the state. And so he has stepped off of our council, and Representative Musselman has been appointed to represent the House. We want to welcome you and see if you'd like to take a quick minute to introduce yourself to the group.
Well, I'm certain that you're maybe disappointed. I know it's a downgrade from Mike Schultz, but I'm glad to be here and glad to do what I can. I'll just give you a little bit of quick background. I actually grew up in Monticello, Utah. Some people know where that is. Some people have no idea, but no. Yeah, everybody knows here. I went to school in what was once Dixie State and to the University of Utah, go Utes. I'm a season football ticket holder, and I've lived in Weber County for all my married life, and I've lived in Ogden, Roy, and West Haven, which are the three cities in my district, and I've served in the House. I'm on my third term, so I'm coming up on my sixth session. So it's oddly enough, I'm in the old guard now. So yeah, that's me.
And Mayor, can I just note, Representative Musselman, we're really excited to have you here. Representative Musselman is co-chairing the Unified Economic Opportunity Commission Growth and Transportation Working Group. So he's very much in this space and a great partner and leader in the legislature. And we're happy to have you here, Representative.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Please go through that.
Okay, and then the members and alternates that we have joining us online today are Laura Hanson with the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, Sandy Mayor Monica Zoltansky, Commissioner Jim Harvey, Taylorsville Mayor Christy Overson, and Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson.
Great, thank you. And hello, friends online. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us. Okay, I just would like to make a note to the council. You may have received some emails regarding the Transportation Improvement Program, which we will be discussing a little later this meeting. It's item number 5 on the agenda, and so we are going to get to that. We'll also have an opportunity for public comment, and then the tip will be part of the discussion for number 5, just FYI. All right, item 1 on our agenda is our consent agenda. With the minutes from our meeting held May 25th, 2023, and the financial statements for April, May, and June of 23, and our current budget and expenditure report have been sent out. Anybody had an opportunity to review those that feels comfortable making a motion to approve those minutes, or are there any modifications to be made?
This is Jeff Silvestrini. I'll make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, including our minutes and the financial statements.
Mayor? Discussion to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Welcome. We have Ari Bruning has joined us as well from Envision Utah. Thank you for being here with us. All right, item 2, we have our chair's report, and I'm excited about this. I am excited about this. We have some great things to talk about, some good work that's been done by all of us here for so long, culminating in this moment and the opportunity to talk about our refreshed Wasatch Choice vision. We all know Utah's growing a lot. We're all growing. We're growing fast. We're growing differently, but the same. Our challenges are unique, but similar. And a lot of work has gone into refreshing this Wasatch Choice vision by all of you. So today's quite a milestone with this broad refresh. And just a reminder that our vision here, this Wasatch Choice vision, is a framework that coordinates our regional transportation, our land use, and our economic development activities. Our refreshed Wasatch Choice incorporates our updated regional transportation plan that you'll recall we adopted by unanimous vote in May, and the updated future land use envisioned by local governments, which has changed over the last 4 years in most of our communities in one way or another. It's changed. We're all changing and trying to take on the opportunities that growing presents and to make sure we get it right. Protecting quality of life as we grow is key here. And I think you'll find that this absolutely reflects that. We're excited about it. Let's see, the map is up. Great. So if you remember nothing else about this report right here, I hope that it would be, we are growing and we have a plan. And we've all worked really hard to help update that plan and make sure that it is reflective of policies that have been passed, of decisions that have been made, of public input, of the realities of growth constraints and opportunities and all of the things that we face. This updated plan reflects that, and it's been comprehensively put together from each of us. There are 4 key strategies to this plan, and we've got a little video here that we'd like to be able to show you about it. I can highlight those strategies. Yeah, you good with that? I'm going to look on this.
Oh, yes.
I'm getting old enough. I'm like, I can't actually read that very well. So I'm just going to look on his laptop close to me. Just highlighting the key strategies in this Wasatch Choice vision for a thriving region and strong communities. Transportation choices, absolutely critical that we do provide people with real choices in how they get around. Driving transit, biking, walking. We've seen such an uptick in active transportation over the last few years since this plan was completed 4 years ago. And that's the beauty of having a living document that we all have the chance to participate in. Housing options, supporting housing types and locations that meet the needs of all residents, which has changed and will continue to change. And so making sure that we're meeting the need of all residents with housing options. Parks and public spaces, absolutely imperative that we ensure ample and convenient parks, public spaces, and open land for gathering and recreating. And city and town centers, creating and enhancing city and town centers as the heart of our communities, right? It's important that we grow the right way and that we maintain what we love so much about our communities, walkable areas where activities are focused and we have places to live, work, and play. I know there's a great deal of work taking place amongst all of you and appreciate all the input that's gone into helping update this plan for quality of life and to maintain a very strong Wasatch Front. So let's turn to the video if we can. It's just a brief little video that kind of highlights this updated plan. I don't know who's in charge of turning that on. Okay.
Utah is growing, and we have a plan. Our future quality of life depends on the choices we make today. The Wasatch Choice Vision is our community's shared vision for transportation investments, development patterns, and economic opportunities. Utah is one of the fastest growing states in the nation, and with rapid growth come challenges and opportunities. The Wasatch Choice Vision was created with broad community input. It represents a shared vision for our future. Its 4 key strategies can help us find solutions as we address challenges and plan for tomorrow in a way that preserves and even enhances our quality of life. People want choices on how they get around, by car, bus, or train, bike, or walk. The Wasatch Choice Vision includes our shared plan for investment to support biking and walking, roadways, and public transportation. As Utah's population continues to grow and change, it's essential to offer a diverse set of housing options across the Wasatch Front and Utah for people with varying preferences, at different life stages, and with different income levels. Our outdoor recreation areas continue to face a record number of visitors year after year, not just in the mountains or at our national parks, but also in parks and on trails closer to home. We need more parks and public spaces as we grow. City and town centers are the hearts of our communities. Walkable areas with a mix of homes, jobs, and amenities located by major road and transit connections. These Wasatch Choice Centers give Utahns great options for where to live, work, and play. Where growth occurs matters. While there's no one-size-fits-all approach, as communities grow and work together to implement the Wasatch Choice Vision, we'll see many benefits: stronger communities, improved transportation, enhanced environment, more housing choices, fiscal responsibility, and a strong economy. Utah's economic strength depends on how easily people can access job and educational opportunities. Growth is still coming, and communities along the Wasatch Front have a plan. The Wasatch Choice Vision, to maintain and enhance quality of life even as we grow. Learn more about the Wasatch Choice Vision and participate in your community's conversation about how to address today's challenges and create a brighter tomorrow.
So good. I love that. Very quickly, I would like to note each of you in front of you have, how great is this, right? Very nice, concise, lovely little card, very easy to read, that has the map, has the partners listed in this Wasatch Choice Vision. It has our key strategies and a QR code to scan to go directly to the vision. Use this. This is just a great little resource that is easy to hold on to and point to and help you become more familiar with some of the updates and the plans that you contributed to. If you want to look at it as a whole, there's a lot of good information in here. Very quickly, I'm going to turn to Mayor Silvestrini, and then we're going to go to Ted and Julie, who are going to, they're Wasatch Front Regional Council staff, who are going to give us an overview of this updated vision. But first, Mayor Silvestrini.
So I just like to say, I'm excited about this updated Wasatch Vision, but the Wasatch Choice Vision has been in effect for some time now. And we had the opportunity to present the new vision to two members of our congressional delegation, their staff, and also to visit with Senator Romney last week about this. And we've talked with Lieutenant Governor Henderson about this. And we want to meet with the governor. The exciting thing about this is not just that we have a vision, and I think it is important that we have a vision and that we communicate that to the residents of Utah, that in spite of the fact that we're facing this rapid growth, we're doing it with a plan to preserve quality of life. But the other thing that's exciting about this actually is we're now able to point to locations in our state that are following this vision and implementing it, creating housing around it. And, there are examples in South Jordan and Mill Creek and Roy and, other parts of our state. So it's exciting because we are actually, through our collaboration and through this kind of planning, we are working hard to meet the growth challenges that our state faces. And we're doing in a way to maximize our transit assets and preserve quality of life and open space in our state. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Ted and Julie.
Thank you, Mayor Ramsey, and it's great to be here. So this is the wasatchchoice.org website, and we're going to just show you some of the elements on the Wasatch Choice map that you can explore on your own. This tab, again, is the Vision tab, and we're going to turn everything off, and we're going to show you the components one at a time. I'm going to start with the land use. Now, Mayor Ramsey talked about one of the key strategies of Wasatch Choice is city and town centers. You're looking at the city and town centers now spanning from Ogden to Layton. When you see a polygon on the map, that means that the city that is underneath that polygon said, this is where we see a future or existing heart of our community. And you can see that the colors vary. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's an approach where each community says, look, we have an idea of the kind of place, the kind of intensity, the kind of mix that makes sense for us. So you can see the dark purple, that's downtown Ogden as a metropolitan center. And down at the southern end, you see Layton Midtown. And I know how Mayor Petro is here, that reflecting what Layton sees as one of the hearts of their community. Next to that, downtown Clearfield, those are urban centers. City centers, examples include the Riverdale City Center, and of course, downtown Roy. And Mayor Dandoy is here as well. Now, these are the hearts of communities. They're great places to meet that 30,000 gap housing unit gap that you saw in the video. When you saw that number, 30,000, that is the total number of units that we as Utahns need to provide to make up a shortfall between the aggregate demand and the aggregate supply. And what better place to put that supply than in city and town centers where people can take advantage of housing options and transportation choices. Now, let's turn off the centers and go to the other land uses. If this is the story of coordinating land use and transportation, it's not just about centers. It's about critically important places like our college campuses, Weber State University, our airports, Ogden Airport, Falcon Hill, the Hill Air Force Base, the Freeport Center. These are really important places for us to serve and make sure that we coordinate our transportation with those areas as well. And then to round out the land use on the vision is open space. When you click on the open space layer, you'll see the existing parks and open spaces, planned parks and open spaces, and a vision for broader connections across our greenways. Hopefully that gives you a sense of some of the land use components of the vision. Julie.
Okay, so how does everyone get in between all of those centers? We also have transportation on this map. It's a reflection of our recently adopted 2023 to 2050 Regional Transportation Plan, which remember from the last council meeting. So on this map, we have sort of a higher level than what's on the Regional Transportation Plan. On the road side, we're highlighting highways, major arterials, and then minor arterials and collectors. So you can see improvements along our interstate network. Slightly off this map is a grade separation on 1200 in Ogden of the railroad, and then increased connectivity throughout. We also have on the transit side, we're looking at commuter rail, light rail, streetcar BRT, and then regional bus. So that thick blue line is the electrification double tracking of Front Runner. And we also have core route improvements between Ogden down to Farmington. And then on the bike ped side, these are trails and on-street protected bike lanes. So you can see around Hill, our 3-gate trail that we've been talking about here. So all of these modes work together to help with that transportation choices strategy by providing ways for people to get around the region between centers to parks and open spaces and to other destinations. And then when we pair that with the land uses that Ted just talked about, we can really get the synergy to help improve our quality of life as we grow.
Thanks, Julie. So improving quality of life as we grow, we have estimated with our models, what would the benefits be if we all collectively follow in our own way, the Wasatch Choice vision. And we estimate that if we coordinate our land uses with transportation in this way, that typical Utahn in the greater Wasatch Front area could get to 30% more jobs and destinations within a typical commute. So we'll be able to be more effective economically, be more productive. If we grow more in our city and town centers over the years, out to the year 2050, we estimate that that would take the pressure off of developing 35 square miles of open land. And you can picture what that savings would mean for the spread of the urban footprint of the greater Wasatch Front. That translates into some other savings. That means that we would not have to build about $5 billion of local infrastructure to serve that development. It means that we would have fewer yards to irrigate. And that means it would roughly save us about 3 billion gallons a year in water savings. So these benefits really do add up substantially and help us maintain our quality of life as we grow. And Mayor, that's our little show of the Wasatch Choice map, and we would love to have people explore that and explore the broader wasatchchoice.org new website.
Thank you so much. We are going to turn to the council and invite some discussion, have some discussion first. First, I'd like to start the discussion and just initiate by really acknowledging Mike and thanking him for these great palm cards. They really are well done, and thank you. Second, I'm going to ask each of you, we've all been collective in this and we're going to talk about it. But will you please join me in thanking our WFRC staff for the immense amount of work that's gone into this.
Well, Mayor, can I pick up on that by noting that while WFRC is sort of shepherding the Wasatch Choice Vision process, this is not actually a WFRC vision. This is a vision for all of us. And you'll note on the card that you have here and the partners listed on the website, this is WFRC and MAG, UDOT and UTA, the League of Cities and Towns and the Association of Counties and Individual Cities and Counties, GOPB, the Gardner Policy Institute, Envision Utah, the Salt Lake Chamber, and other local chambers of commerce. This is all of us working together to make sure that we maintain and even enhance the quality of life in our region for generations to come. So while we appreciate the recognition of our labors, this is really for all of us, reflects all of our work. And then we have to chart the course forward for actually implementing this. And I'll just say, Bert, if you'll go back up to the home screen, you'll see right across the top, there's information about the goals and strategies, tools and resources, case studies reflecting what's happening in local communities around the region. So lots of resources available to actually help make this plan a reality. And maybe I'll just say one more thing, Mayor, and that is, you already noted that the point of this vision is to promote great quality of life for generations to come. But practically speaking, I think there's two things that we're trying to do here together. One is to inspire confidence in our residents collectively that we do have a plan, right? Our residents are rightfully concerned with the growth that's coming. You're all experiencing this. The fact that we are working together, we have a vision, we have a plan for how to accommodate that growth, I think is really important. And then the second thing would be that we're trying to encourage action. Having a nice vision and plan in of itself doesn't do anything if it is not implemented. And that's where all of us, all of you in your communities and your agencies come in to actually translate this vision into a reality on the ground. And I know you're all doing it. You're working so hard, and we're just honored to be able to support you in that work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That applause, to be clear, is to say thank you for the unbelievable lift it is to herd these cats. This is a lot of cats to herd. There's a lot, as Andrew has stated, a lot of organizations, a lot of people, a lot of public bodies, a lot of elected officials, a lot of public input, all of the collective work. Somebody has to be the one to organize and to, create opportunities for us to weigh in and to have understanding of what we're talking about, to show us what the outcomes of our decisions will look like based on what we decide. You've got options. If that's what you want to do, great. This is kind of how it's going to look at the end. So much work, updating the website, updating the maps, all the things. Somebody has to be the collaborator. The staff here at Wasatch Front Regional Council has done a great job of herding all of these cats. So yeah, anyway, thank you. All right, let's talk about it. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Please, Carlton.
Jokingly, when I first saw the map, I thought, hey, we need to change the description from roadway to transit byway network. And but I realized that there's multiple uses on those roads. And but anyway, I was also reflecting that when I got appointed by Governor Levitt in '99 to the Quality Growth Commission, this discussion about growth and how it's managed was very much in its infancy, and it was a pretty I would say diverse conversation and how you get there and what that means. But it's been amazing to watch the evolution of that conversation and the collectiveness of what the data that the map represents, bringing it together. I think the challenge for each of us, including our own agency, is how do we respond to those aspirations and in partnership to get there, because we in and ourselves can't solve it without a community's involvement and engagement and how they develop their city around certain corridors, for example. And so I hope that it as opposed to being the end all, it's really the beginning of that conversation and how that moves forward. But I commend everybody for their contributions to it. So
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Anything you want to, any thoughts? Please, Commissioner.
Yeah, mine are kind of similar to Carlton's, but I was looking at this when I had the chance to have my computer up and we had dug in more even in the Regional Growth Committee meeting. I was just so impressed with it, and I've seen for years the planning effort from ground up. And because I started my public service as a planning commissioner in the city where I live, in Davis County, which is Kaysville, I just know how important it is for planning commissioners in every city of any size, and then councils who have not been involved in this process necessarily, maybe hopefully a little bit when it first started and we'd have those meetings and people would come. Like I do remember several years ago being in one of those meetings. But I wouldn't have known that this is the final outcome of that necessarily, nor have they necessarily been part of the whole process, nor are they, seeing the glorious outcome of it all. So my thoughts immediately in the meeting the other day with the regional growth was just how challenging it will be for all of our cities to be brought up to speed, and then to because there's enough turnover of city managers, planning commissioners, and city councils, kind of the rubber meets the road, at least in Davis County. All of this, most of this will happen within cities, planning and zoning, unless it's a county thing or if it's going to be a state project. So I feel like we have our work cut out for us, especially perhaps the league, to really get it all the way back down to everybody to show the outcome. And like Carlton so eloquently said, that we all really use this. And my small example that I shared the other day was that in 2016, I think it was in March, both Kaysville and Farmington accomplished a fantastic active transportation plan, which was regional between two cities. And we got a binder and we had a place we could look at it online. It had tons of community participation. Like, it was just the ideal project for active transportation. And where I live in Kaysville, I'm not sure that it's really being utilized as well as it could be. And we're 2 city managers later. There's been turnover of mayors and planning commissioners and city council members. And I made sure my binder got turned over, and I've heard one council member talk about it a few years ago. But, I just to really implement all of that amazing planning, I think that's going to be so important. And I have ideas, but I'm happy to be part of that conversation of how to get it all the way back down and then keep it fresh as turnover occurs. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else, please?
Yeah, so I echo what was said earlier on. The public really wants to understand that we are making some headway here and planning for the future and looking at infrastructure. And so I think this is really great. But I also want to point out too, how unusual I think it is for a state to be so active in collaborating with the different levels of government and different agencies. And I know we have other states that look to us as leaders in good planning. And so anyway, hats off to everyone for their involvement. Thanks.
Yes, go ahead.
Carlton, as you were speaking, I was reminded of something your brother once wrote. He said this. He said, if we can't see beyond what's close by, we're relying on chance and on the currents of life to guide us. Good theory or planning helps us steer people to good decisions, not just in business, but in life. And, when it was written, Carlton's brother was one of the greatest minds when it comes to disruptive innovation and economics. And I think in the last 2 years, we've seen incredible disruption starting to occur in our state that this document helps guide us with. I know in our county, for instance, we've seen an increase in housing influx that supports jobs in the Salt Lake Valley. 70% of our citizens who are employed commute to Salt Lake. That's a dangerous statistic. It's not something we're proud of, because at the end of the day, it does not allow for a strong economic base. But we also understand the partnerships that must be created to help fund and help jobs grow in the Salt Lake Valley and in Davis County and the other counties. But the water situation for us is the most dangerous thing we face in the future. We can build 10,000 more homes and we're out of water. That's not a lot. We're building at the rate right now between 800 and 1,000 homes a year. That gives us a 10-year window. And so this vision not only helps to plan the transportation needs and the community needs when it comes to the other issues, but the saving of water, 3 billion gallons, is enormous. It deals with our industries that are so important to the tax base of our county. And so we appreciate, at least from our side, being able to see into the future and address some of those things that will be coming and to help guide what we will see in the future. And so thank you, Andrew, to you, your staff, to those partners, UDOT, the Federal Highway Administration, our congressional group that helps us to undertake some things that are very, very pressing that will affect not only this valley, but the valleys to the north, the valleys to the south, and the valleys to the east.
Thank you. Anyone have any other thoughts? Okay. Well, let me wrap this part up by just once again saying thank you to everyone who participated, whether they came to one of the 10 workshops that was held. The one that was held for our area was a great turnout. It was packed. It was outstanding room only at ours.
Yeah, and we do those workshops every year, and we'll do another round of them in November, and we'll dig into this in more detail. And, how are we all, you all, and we all going to implement this together?
Yeah, appreciate that, and appreciate partnerships like the League of Cities and Towns and UAC and all the players that are working together to get the water to the end of the row here and help make sure we can get this done. So thank you and well done to all of you.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I think next on our agenda is public comment, and I think a lot of the public comment is going to tie back into our item 5. I would suggest that we maybe hold our public comment till that time.
Okay, so is that an amended, a motion to
Yes, please.
amend the agenda to move item 3 to after 4? Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda, and then we're going to go to our guiding our growth. But item 3 is public comment. We have a motion to move public comment after item 4. So it is next to what the tip conversation. Is there a second to that motion? Please go ahead.
I actually think it would be more appropriate to hear the presentation on the board modifications to the tip before public comment. So move it to after item 5A, because I think that what may be said in the presentation or in discussion relating to the presentation may actually inform some of the public comment about this matter.
Agree.
So I'll offer an amended motion then to move public comment to follow item 5A on the agenda.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Mayor, I'm sorry. If you would like, if the point of your motion is to have public comment after the presentation of the tip itself, then it would make sense to move it after 5C. Okay, because that's 5 ABC work together, and the full tip will be presented in 5C.
But isn't C
C is
to
an action
approve the
item,
tip?
though.
I want it before a vote to
Yeah, I
approve.
would think so too.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
My idea is we have a presentation on it, then we get public comment, then we get the opportunity.
And that's my point, is that you could have the public comment, the presentation could happen, but before the action, you could have the public comment.
That's correct.
That's how, is that acceptable?
So that would
Okay.
be after B, correct? So that is after 5B or in the middle of 5B. Because 5C are the amendments to the 23-28 tip.
Right, Mayor. You're right. So after-
5C
after
is the
5B.
24-29 tip.
I'm willing to second that motion, whether it's after B or C.
I think if the understanding is that you want the public comment after the discussion and presentation of the tip, but before the vote, then could that be your motion, and we'll make sure we do it at the right time?
That'll be my motion.
Okay, thank you. Respectfully, sir.
As chair of this meeting, I need to know when that is. Like, I need to
Would
know when
be
we're
af-
moving. it
Where
to.
are, where's Wayne and Ben? That would be after 5C, correct?
I had no idea I was
It
going to
would be
create so
after
much
5C
controversy.
because 5D is a separate item related to certification, right after 5C? Yes, Ben is nodding yes, if that's acceptable.
I don't understand why we would do it after if it's got to be during.
It would just be, yeah, in the middle of 5C before the vote, before the action is taken.
Okay, we have a motion and second. In my mind, doing this the way we do regular public hearings at all of our council meetings is the way this should work, because we want the public to be heard, but there's great value in making sure they've heard the presentation as well, so that they have a full understanding and we have a full understanding before we make a decision. We want to hear from the public. We want to hear the presentation. We want the public to hear the presentation. That's how we go about it. That being said, I believe we have a motion to move public comment to item 5C after Ben's presentation before the council makes any action.
Correct.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Let me fix that on my notes. And as I do so, thank you very much for that. We're going to go to Laura Hanson to talk about an update. We look forward to this update. Laura Hanson, our statewide planning coordinator from the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, is here to review, give us a little preview really of the results of our incredible Guiding Our Growth survey. This ties so well into the Wasatch Choice vision we've just talked about. We've done a lot of work, our planners, our councils, our professional staff, we've heard so much from the public, but there really is still a key question. What do the residents specifically say? Take our planning out of it, take our professional expertise from our staffs out of it. What are the residents saying? Just the residents. And that's where this comes in. And so we appreciate Laura being with us and so much work that's gone into this conversation that many of us have been asking to have for so many years. It's really gratifying to me to have this conversation taking place. So we're going to turn to Laura Hanson and get some updates here on how the Guiding Our Growth survey is going. Laura.
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate the opportunity to participate remotely today. It was just one of those days that this works better for me. So thank you so much. And you said everything I was going to say in terms of how complementary these processes are and how well they dovetail with one another. I think you will be pleased with these preliminary survey results in that they very closely align with the strategies that are outlined in the Wasatch Choice vision. So we're going to give you a quick highlight of that. Just as an overview, we have had about 25,000 people participate in the process so far that have answered at least the first question of the survey. We actually have 3 different versions of the survey, one for urban areas, one for rural areas that are growing, and then one for rural areas that are not experiencing very much growth. And it's organized in a couple of parts and around 4 key topics: housing, water, transportation, and then parks and open space. And you can see how those align with Wasatch Choice as well. So I have a little handout that I'm going to shine on the screen here. It will be too much content for you really to soak in during this meeting. But my friend and buddy on Guiding Our Growth, in addition to many, many other organizations, including the Wasatch Front Regional Council, the League of Cities and Towns, UAC, Gardner Policy Institute, and many of you as individuals here in the room have participated and contributed to, but Envision Utah is going to join me, Ari Bruning, just to walk through kind of five key takeaways from what we have seen from preliminary results from urban residents. And again, the survey closes at the end of this month, so please don't send this, to the Tribune or anything just yet. But we'll be able to come back to you all with final results here soon, but just wanted to give you a quick preview. So I'm going to turn it over to Ari to walk us through just kind of 5 key points and takeaways.
All right, thanks, Laura. So yeah, don't send the results to the Tribune, but please do continue to share the survey because it's open for 1 more week and we want to hear from more people. So these are preliminary results. They could change over the course of that week, but we've had enough thousands of people that they probably won't change much. And I should also mention that we have a random sample survey in the field to make sure that the 25,000 who have weighed in are not weirdos who are unrepresentative of the rest of the state. When you get that many, you're pretty confident that it's going to be fairly representative. So just to summarize what people are telling us on the urban side, so for this group, we're generally urban here. When it comes to housing, the super majority of Utahns are saying they're open to a lot more housing types, and they're open to it, not just out there far from them, but even maybe close to them. So I don't know if that's surprising to any of you, but also particularly among those who are younger and who are renters who may not be the ones that we often hear from in city council meetings. On the water side, we're hearing a lot of support for some pretty aggressive water conservation efforts. Lots of people supporting rebates and incentives for landscape conversion, requiring all new development to have water-wise landscaping and so forth. That's a really strong finding. On the transportation side, surprisingly strong support for public and active transportation. UTA friends, you've gotten your message out. That's rising to the top, everything from zero fare public transportation to just investing more in public and active transportation is polling very, very well. And maybe I'll, on the sheet, I'm going to skip one for a second. But to go along with that, Utahns are really supportive of the walkable town centers that make that work well. They want a lot of our new development to occur in those town centers or in existing communities to do a lot of infill and so forth. And then going back to the one I skipped, and then they're also open to some development on the edge, but they would like that to be more in the form of master plan communities with a lot of open space and a variety of housing types. So that's what we're hearing. We're hearing about 20% or so who consistently are choosing the try to stop growth option. Don't allow new housing. So that's about 1 in 5 is what we're hearing. So with that, as I mentioned, we'll have the random sample coming soon. We'll have those results soon. We'll also be slicing and dicing for different demographics and geographies. So we might, I don't know how small we'll be able to go on the geographies. I mean, I don't want to tell you 10 people in this area said X because I don't know that those 10 people are representative, but we'll probably be able to get down to like, say, Southern Davis County versus Northern Davis County and those kinds of things. So with that, I'll turn it back to Laura.
Thanks so much, Ari and members of the council. I put the link for the Guiding Our Growth website in the chat, and maybe Andrea can get that out to anyone who's listening in as a panelist or as a member of the public. We have, as Ari said, 1 more week. So we'd welcome your feedback, make sure your voice is heard, and we'll look forward to working with you all on what we do with all this great input. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We look forward to getting the comprehensive results of this once the survey is closed. And just want to make sure everybody knows the whole don't send to the Tribune thing is just a joke, right? This is a public meeting and it's all public information. It's just not completed information yet. The survey is still open. So just pointing that out, that this is still a work in progress, and we look forward to the final information. Thank you to everyone who's worked so hard to provide a way for the public to give feedback like this in this way, and to really let their voices be heard in this unique way. It's important. Thank you.
Mayor, briefly, it's worth noting the consistency between what we're hearing coming out of Guiding Our Growth, what Ari and Laura just presented, and the Wasatch Choice vision, right? The alignment between those of the, you have this Wasatch Choice vision that we've all talked about. How do we know that that's what the public wants? Well, because there is a survey of tens of thousands of Utahns that you have just seen that is saying that is the direction, largely consistent, almost entirely consistent, that we want our region to go. I think that should give particularly those of you that are elected officials some degree of comfort that maybe it's not the loudest voices in the community, but representative more broadly of the community is to implement these strategies that we've talked about in the Wasatch Choice vision. Laura, would you say that's fair?
Awesome.
Yes,
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you also for the clarification that, yeah, these results are just preliminary. They're not the final results. So obviously, just hold tight until they're finalized, but everything here is public, of course.
But it's really nice to hear what 25,000 people so far have weighed in on, and how that's looking, and what, how that data is coming together. And just remember, take the survey. We've got 1 more week. It's still open. Tell everyone you know. Want to hear from everybody. Thank you. All right. Next, we have our fiscal year 23 activities and accomplishments report. And this is something I'm looking forward to. Each year as a council, we set goals for the organization. And after the year is over, the Wasatch Front Regional Council team produces a report for us on the agency's activities and accomplishments toward the goals that we set, and how that's gone over the past year. So we are going to turn to Andrew Gruber, our fearless leader, and have him update us on the activities and accomplishments of WFRC this last year.
Okay, Mayor, thank you so much. And members of the council, thank you so much. As Mayor Ramsey just said, you will remember that you establish goals for us as a council, for us to implement over the course of the year. And so we're looking back at fiscal year 23 and produce this report, which highlights those activities and accomplishments of WFRC, its staff, its members, its partners, all of us together to working to implement these goals. We think it's important to do this, as Mayor Ramsey said, in part to celebrate our shared activities and accomplishments, but just as importantly, to have accountability that we have as WFRC as a public agency. I'll note we're really proud of the work that we've done together to serve our communities together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip through this whirlwind tour through this. It's on the screen in front of you, but first thing I want to note is our mission. Our mission, the Wasatch Front Regional Council builds consensus and enhances quality of life by developing and implementing visions and plans for a well-functioning multimodal transportation system, livable communities, a strong economy, and a healthy environment. That's why we're here together. And our roles to do that are convener, technical expert, planner, and implementer. So let's take a look at the goals that you adopted. The first one is collaboratively advance the Wasatch Choice Vision as a framework for integrating transportation, land use, and economic development to best address growth-related opportunities and challenges. We just finished talking about the Wasatch Choice Vision, and we also emphasized that for it to become a reality, it is implemented locally in your communities by your agencies, because we know that there is no one size fits all. What makes sense in Brighton is going to be different than what makes sense in Ogden versus South Jordan. Every community has to figure out what works best for you. And then we weave that together into a beautiful tapestry for the future of our region. Okay, I wrote that myself. Now, part of the way that we do this, that we help, is that we have technical assistance that we provide to your communities. Notably, we have our Transportation and Land Use Connection program that is jointly funded by WFRC, UDOT, UTA, and Salt Lake County. We also, as of a few years ago, have our station area planning assistance that we do in cooperation with MAG and UTA for station area planning around transit stations. And I just want to highlight a few of these efforts in your communities. The first station area plan that was certified, Farmington City. We were able to help Farmington with TLC funding to develop that station area plan around their front runner station, housing, transportation, mixed use around their front runner station. Mayor Dandoy, we were able to support Roy City over the years, and we're going to be looking to certify. You'll have the opportunity to certify the Roy station area plan around their front runner station. And we've been able to partner with Mayor Dandoy and the community to develop that station area plan in Roy. Mayor Dolly, we've been able to help Holiday City, as you know, with multiple TLC awards for development in Holiday for their active transportation study, their Wasatch Boulevard master plan, working on their general plan update with multiple awards over the years. And Mayor Petro in Layton City, again, multiple awards in Layton City for 5 TLC projects over the years. Their effort Envision Layton, their town center master plan, developing their long-range economic development plan. All of these, if you add them all up, we have been able to support 150 projects or efforts, planning efforts in communities around the region. And again, they are all designed to help your communities and help our region as a whole implement that Wasatch Choice Vision and ultimately promote great quality of life. Now, it's not just about planning. We also provide really high quality data and tools and analysis, mapping work that we offer, forecasting and modeling. This is in the technical expertise space that we offer, and then analysis. And I'll just give you one example. WFRC was really proud to receive the Special Achievement Award in GIS, Geographic Information Systems, this year, using geospatial tools to help with decision making. And there's a picture of Bill Harris, data scientist, accepting that award on behalf of our organization. I wish one day I would have a job title as cool as data scientist. Lots of more information in here. I'm sure all of you are going to read this full report word for word. You've probably all read it already. So I'm going to skip over some of the details here. Oh, thank you, Mayor. Of course you did. That's why you're the chair. We also, of course, we've talked about the Wasatch Choice Vision. In transportation, there is a statewide Utah Unified Transportation Plan, and all the transportation agencies working together are putting this together, and it was on track to be completed in October and then shared with everybody looking ahead to October. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, goal number 2 is to effectively administer ongoing plans and programs. This is our core transportation work, and at the heart of it is collaboration. We work with the cities and counties and so closely with UDOT and UTA, and I want to express appreciation, Carlos and everybody at the UDOT team and to the UTA trustees and all the staff. That partnership in transportation planning is so solid. It's the best that I'm aware of anywhere in the country. We should all be really proud of that. And we know that this year in adopting the TIP, there was significant public, in adopting the regional transportation plan, there was significant public interest. You all remember this, of course. And I think that that is an indicator of the fact that these issues that we work on here together, they matter. They are important to the future of our region. I am proud to say that ultimately the regional transportation plan was adopted unanimously. And I hope that we handled and conducted our work in that process, demonstrating competence and integrity and ensuring that we followed a good process where people's voices were able to be heard. I think having that process and the dialogue and engagement leads to better plans and to better outcomes ultimately. That regional transportation plan over the next 3 decades has over $26 billion of priority roadway, transit, bike, and pedestrian projects, over 1,000 projects all over the region. That means a more balanced and multimodal transportation system to provide people with transportation choices, which you will remember is one of the 4 key strategies in the Wasatch Choice Vision. Now, what are some of those projects? For example, in Sandy City, and I know Mayor Zoltansky is online with us, the 9,000 South overhead pedestrian and bike crossing to give people better access by bike and by foot within key areas of Sandy City. Major roadway projects like the West Davis Highway is being constructed now that emerges out of the planning process in Western Davis County. Now, those are elements that are in the regional transportation plan, but we also know that the TIP, the regional transportation plan, is the next 20 to 30 years. The TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program, are the projects that are anticipated in the next 5 years. And part of the work that and we'll be getting to that later in the meeting, action on the TIP. Part of what we have the benefit or the opportunity to do is to provide funding directly to your communities. And in the last year, we were able to fund 41 projects totaling $67 million, like expanding green bikes in Ogden City, Mayor Caldwell, and in Box Elder County, constructing providing funding to construct 1200 West to connect the cities of Perry and Willard. And then also in Tooele and Morgan counties, I want to note that the planning works somewhat differently in those areas than it does on the Wasatch Front, Commissioner and Council Member, in that we work and support the rural planning organizations in those areas and then work with UDOT and with UTA in doing the transportation planning. And just by way of example, things that emerged there in Tooele County, we were able to fund an active transportation plan. In Morgan County, we were able to provide some funding for the Weber River floodplain mapping study, really important issue, as we know from all of the rain that we got this year. So we're really happy to be able to help all of our communities around the region. Now, I will skip to goal number 3. Now we're talking about a lot of funding, right? How does this stuff get paid for? Where does the money come from? Well, part of the work that we do in our goal number 3 is providing subject matter expertise to federal, state, local officials and policymakers. And I hope Representative Musselman says, yeah, you're providing good expertise at the state level. Thank you, hopefully. Yes, he nodded yes, terrific, okay. And so at the federal level, you know, we're working and we have worked on helping to make sure that there's stable, predictable, ongoing funding for transportation. You all remember the relatively recent implementation or adoption of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. I'm really happy to note that we have been able together to secure funding coming out of that act for certain projects. For example, the RAISE grant that you all, I think you know about this, a $25 million RAISE grant to improve access to transit in our region. There are 15 projects in 9 communities to enhance the first last mile access to transit in our region. And I want to note, we've talked about collaboration. This was a UDOT application for something that UDOT, MAG, UTA, WFRC, and local communities worked on together. And it all fits together into the broader Wasatch Choice vision. Again, safety is a critical issue. WFRC received a grant to develop a comprehensive safety action plan from the Safe Streets for All program. And some of you were here and remember we hosted a safety forum with our friend Robin Hutchison, who's the administrator of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So lots of great work coming with our federal partners. Now at the state level, I will say this was yet another, it's almost getting cliche to say this now, but yet another historic year in transportation funding at the state level for multimodal transportation infrastructure to advance projects that are part of Utah's Unified Transportation Plan and the Regional Transportation Plan. And perhaps the thing we're most excited about is the funding for the Utah Trail Network. Governor Cox and Carlos, with our support and encouragement over the years, proposed and the legislature funded for the first time ongoing funding of $45 million for the Utah Trail Network, significant connections so that people can use biking as a means of transportation all over the state of Utah. This is a game changer in the state of Utah. And I want to recognize also Senator Wayne Harper, who's a member, he was the sponsor of the bill that did this. He's a member of Wasatch Front Regional Council from the Senate. I believe he's traveling for his NCSL responsibility, so he wasn't able to be here today, but that is a big deal for the future of our state. That brings me to the last goal, goal number 4, which is a little more internally focused, which is about striving for organizational excellence. That starts with maintaining budget stability and accountability, having transparency to our members, to you, and to the public. I'm proud that we continued our more than 25-year streak of unqualified audit opinions. We take this very seriously, the use of taxpayer dollars. Also, we strive at WFRC to create and maintain a work environment that maximizes the health, happiness, and productivity of a truly excellent staff. And you may have noticed that a lot of our staff is here today. I asked them if they would join us here. And I just want you all to know, and I think you know this, that our team here is dedicated, they're smart, they're hardworking, and maybe most importantly, they care about the future of our community deeply. And I am so proud to work as part of this, this team. Thank you. Now, I want to introduce, we have one new staff person that you have not yet met. Che Mosqueda, where's Che? Che, stand up, please. Okay, Che, this is his first week in long range with the long range planning team. Everybody was really excited to hire Che, and we were like, when can you start? And he's like, Tuesday, I'm coming. And so we're really excited about it. Che is a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, and he has a degree in planning from the University of Utah. Che, welcome to WFRC. We're happy to have you here. Now, speaking of the University of Utah, I want to acknowledge Meg Townsend. Where's Meg? Meg Townsend, right over there. You all know Meg. She's the Community and Economic Development Lead. In the past year, she was recognized as the University of Utah Young Alumni Award in City and Metropolitan Planning and recognized by Utah business as in their 20s. How about that, huh? Pretty cool. Meg, congratulations to you in all of your great work. Now, thank you. Now, speaking of terrific women, this is just my favorite thing. As I think most of you know, earlier this year, WFRC was truly honored to be named the Employer of the Year by the Women's Transportation Seminar. WTS is the leading professional organization for women who work in the transportation field in the public or private sector. And this award recognizes employers who have exhibited excellence in recruiting, retaining, and advancing women. You can see the picture there just of some of the team. Mayor Ramsey was good enough as the chair of WFRC and can I say the first woman to chair WFRC in the history of the organization to join us there and accepting that award. And we're just really, really proud of that recognition. And what it means is that we're hiring the best people. That's what it means, okay? Let's see, okay. I'm almost done here, my friends. I have one other person that I want to specifically acknowledge, and that's Wayne Bennion. Where's Wayne? Wayne, stand up, please. Wayne Bennion has just completed 30 years of service at WFRC. He's not retiring, okay? At least not that he's told me, but not yet. He's completed 30 years of service. He is our Director of Short-Range Planning and Programming. Wayne is the epitome of a dedicated public servant. If you know Wayne, you know that he is not looking for spotlight or attention. I told him I was going to do this. He was like, what, really? Yes, really. He's just focused on doing his work of assisting you and your communities day in, day out, year in, year out. Wayne, thank you very much for your 30 years of service. And now, Wayne, stay standing, and I want to ask everybody on the WFRC team to stand up. Everybody stand up, and just, hey, you did this already, but members of the council, just do me a favor and give a round of applause to our team, okay? And now don't sit down, because now, leaders in our community, it is our turn to thank you.
Before we do that, there's one more award that needs to be announced, and there's an association of regional councils in this country. It's called the National Association of Regional Councils, or NARC. And our own Andrew Gruber was recognized in Detroit at their national meeting as an outstanding leader in that organization. So there are awards all around, and you got yours too, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, and now to our members, you have the hard job. We work really hard, but it's you that have the hard job. You're the ones that put yourself on the ballot and have to ask people to give you your job, to ask people to let you serve your community. And your dedication is truly remarkable, all of the elected officials that are here. And on behalf of all of us, sincerely, it is a real honor to be able to support you in what you're doing in your communities. There's no finer or more dedicated group of people that I've ever met in my career in public service. So team, let's give a round of applause to our members. And unless there's any questions, Madam Chair, that concludes our activities and accomplishments report, which we're happy to share the full thing with you.
Thank you. There really is so much more that could have been said during this report. Just well done. This is a great team. It's a great organization doing such important work. Thank you. Okay, as was noted before, our agenda has been amended to move item 3, our public comment, to 5C, concluding Ben's presentation before the council takes any sort of action. And just as a reminder that public comment is open for any topic. It's not only on the tip, it's for any topic, but we do know we have public that would like to comment on the tip, and so thought moving it there. The recommendation and the motion was to move it there so that it could all be done together and everybody could hear the same discussions at the same time prior to the council taking or not taking any action. So we will move on to item 4, our report from our Regional Growth Committee, Chair Mayor Bob Dandoy. Today we've got Mayor Dandoy here with us. We'll turn the time to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How do you follow that presentation? this is going to be an interesting conversation, but Andrew, this is tough to follow you in this, but let me begin. Today we have two action items. We will consider two stationaries areas for certification, both the Roy Front Runner and the South Jordan tracks at 4800 West and the Old Bingham Highway. The Wasatch Choice is planning framework for our region and the details worked out within each community. Now, stationary planning is an effort to work through those details around transit stations, shifting mics, and which are key areas to effectively accommodate growth in Utah. Many Wasatch Choice centers are developed around these transit stations. Now, under House Bill 462 from 2022, cities with transit stations are required to develop stationary plans that address shared goals, such as housing availability and affordability. But the cities, and this is an important part, Madam Chair, the cities decide how to do it and maintain local control over their land use. Now, the Wasatch Front Regional Council and certainly MAG are given two primary responsibilities under House Bill 462. Provide technical assistance to the cities in developing their stationary plans and certify that the stationary plans satisfy the statutory requirements. Now, as the mayors of these two jurisdictions, I will say a few introductory remarks before Roy's action. And Mayor Ramsey, I believe, will provide some remarks before the South Jordan action. But first, we've asked Meg Townsend, the Wasatch Front Regional Council Director of Community and Economic Development, will discuss these items. So Meg.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. The camera at the podium's down, so I'm just going to join you all. Before we jump into the action items that Mayor Dandoy referenced, I'm going to give you an overview of the station area plan requirement, the goals of the station area planning initiative, and a little bit about the progress we've made so far. So I'll jump into that and make sure there are no questions there. The station area plan goals very closely mirror our Wasatch Choice goals. And that's because a lot of people in this room had a big part in making sure of that. So the station area plan goals are to increase the availability and affordability of housing, to promote sustainable environmental conditions, to enhance access to opportunities, and to increase the transportation choices and connections within these station areas. And to do that, cities are responsible for completing a plan with these 5 components within their station area, which is a radius of a ½ mile around rail stations and a ½ mile around BRT. So each station area plan needs to have a vision, it needs to have a map, it needs to have a 5-year implementation plan that's very detailed, shows us how we're going to make it happen, a statement describing how those 4 objectives, those goals are met, and it needs to contain various public and stakeholder engagement elements along the way. In order to help cities do that, as mentioned earlier, we have station area plan technical assistance that's administered through the MPOs, WFRC and MAG. It's a shared $5 million across those areas and administered alongside the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity and UTA. That's available on a rolling basis. So if you have a station area, a station in your community, reach out anytime, and it only takes us a couple of weeks to process those applications so we can get you moving. What we've accomplished so far. So this is just a timeline of some steps along the way and our best effort to identify where cities are at along that timeline. There are several station areas that may not have started yet, lots that are being prepared, some that are just about ready for adoption. And then we have 2 station area plans today to consider for certification, and we've certified 2 already. You might notice that the denominator here changed. We have 95 stations in our region. That's between WFRC and MAG. Some of those station areas, being that there's a ½ mile radius, cross into multiple cities. So that gave us some complicated decision to make because we're considering a portion of a station area for certification today. And that's important. So we have changed that to 126 station areas. Sometimes you might be certifying a plan that covers a couple of those segments. If you ever have any questions about that, give me a call. We have 17 applications so far that we've received for station area plan technical assistance. All of those have been awarded. We're working with all of those cities now. And we've awarded about nearly half of our $5 million in technical assistance. Still plenty there to help you out. Okay, now let's take a look at the Roy Front Runner Station Area Plan, and we'll consider that action on its own. This plan is a direct implementation of the Wasatch Choice Vision. That little star there on our vision map is Roy Station, and there's a center there. All those polygons you saw earlier when Ted was presenting, this is one of them. So this is really making it happen. This plan was completed with some serious challenges. This is on quite a steep grade. The rail disconnects the communities. There's a little bit of an access issue, but nothing that the Roy team couldn't solve. So there's pedestrian bridges connecting to the station area. New connections are envisioned, and there's ways that that grading has been considered and dealt with. This plan, if fully built out, would accommodate over 2,000 housing units of all various types. Some of that is senior housing in that dark blue area. You can kind of see at the south end there, townhomes, apartments, different uses here at the station, and surrounded by single family, as you can kind of see that wide around it, but fitting very much with the community. I think I'll turn to Mayor Dandoy for comment now.
Thank you, Megan. Madam Chair, let me just be blunt. Roy City's been waiting for this for a long time. This is such an important thing to us. We have simply watched other cities make this maneuver, move forward with that. And we see this as a great opportunity for Roy City now to take and do its part to make the difference. This plan basically, as Meg suggested, has the potential of bringing 2,000 households to this area and tens of thousands of square feet of commercial space. This is important to us. And whether it's townhouses or apartments, or whether it's going to be, in essence, the families, elderly families, opportunities, and those people have choices. We're providing a variety of choices here, and we could not be more excited. And interesting enough, we think we got a lot of our neighbors in this area agreeable and supporting this. So this is a big thing for us, and we're excited to see it happen. So without any further discussion, there certainly is an action, okay, that needs to be done here. And Mayor Ramsey, as Mayor of Roy City, I would abstain from voting on this, but we'll look for someone else to make a motion to certify the Roy Front Runner Station Area Plan as it's been presented.
I would make the motion to certify the Roy Area Station Plan as has been presented.
And I will enthusiastically second.
Okay, I'm gonna have to choose then between Harvey and Shepherd. I don't want that on me. No. I know. Okay, we'll give the second to Commissioner Harvey then. Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second to certify the station area plan for Roy City. Is there any discussion to this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations and well done.
Thank you,
Congratulations,
Madam
Mayor.
Chair. Now let's consider the South Ogden Track Station at 4800 West and the Old Bingham Highway. This is a little different than other Regional Growth Committee has considered because there are some impracticalities, okay, with some stationary plan requirements that are being noted by South Jordan. Meg, would you help us introduce this concept?
Sure, thanks, Mayor. So the South Jordan segment of the 4800 West Old Bingham Highway track station is a little different. In the original conceptualization of the legislation and in amended this year in SB 27, there's a provision for prior actions and impracticabilities because we know that these stations have been there a while and there may be uses there, conditions that exist that won't allow cities to meet the requirements of stationary planning. That is sort of the case here, though South Jordan's done a lot of great work in this area. It's sort of maxed out in its ability to meet the stationary planning requirements. In the role of the MPOs to certify these, staff does a thorough review. We've reviewed this station. I'll tell you about some of these conditions, but we did make a positive recommendation for certification of this station to the Regional Growth Committee, and they have, of course, recommended that council certify. So the conditions that exist in this area, sorry about that, It's mostly single family. It's largely built out. What is not yet built out is the Glenmore Golf Club and a regional park. And so the city has been developing this regional park. That's the Bingham Creek Regional Park. It's accessible to the station via 4800 West through bike facilities and pedestrian facilities. The city has made sure are there. The city's worked on a plan to implement connections to the station, and really the opportunity for additional housing, barring any major redevelopment of single family homes that don't need it right now, is ADUs, which are allowed in the city. So our staff believes that South Jordan's prior actions and impracticabilities combined do merit they meet the requirements of the legislation, and we're recommending that you certify today. We have in your packets, as always, what South Jordan has submitted, the resolution that they adopted as a city, which is part of what's required here, along with our staff checklist, and you can take a look at that and give us any questions that you have. I'll turn to Mayor Ramsey.
Thank you. So the beauty of HB 462 is exactly this. You can have an amazing plan happening in Roy, and we're going to have some amazing plans happening in South Jordan at our other stops. But my concern when that whole legislation started, the first question I asked was, what if you have a stop that has no room to build more housing? Because a lot of families have already bought their homes and live there. Like, it's already built, it's already done. And we're working on it, the largest regional park in the entire county in partnership with Salt Lake County that encompasses part of that half mile. This is a major recreation area, and it's got single family homes, and we can really maximize this stop for recreation, but we can't change the housing that's right there, except for ADUs, which we already allow. That being the case, the flexibility to say there are a few like this. Most of them along these transit stations do not look like this, but there are some, and I don't remember for sure, but I think there's a chance that these houses, some of these homes were there before the tracks line went in along there. Some of these have been there for a while. They're older than the tracks line. They kind of, they're grandfathered in because they're part of the city and they're where people live and it's their homes and whatever. So I appreciate the flexibility of HB 462 to recognize that one size does not fit all, and the great opportunities that exist right now in Roy for your station area plan, and the great opportunities that exist in South Jordan, who we're taking advantage of the HTRZs that were approved this last year and putting in a housing transit reinvestment zone development, a significant urban development in South Jordan that we're referring to as downtown Daybreak. We're putting in a lot along there. So we're doing everything we can to meet this requirement and then some, and to exceed it everywhere we can. This is everything we can do to meet the requirement in this area. And for that reason, I also won't be voting on this. I'll abstain from voting, but I will ask if there is a motion to approve the South Jordan 4800 West Old Bingham Highway Station Area Plan.
Mayor Ramsey, Jeff Silverstein, I'll make the motion to approve the South Jordan 4800 South or 4800 West Old Bingham Highway Track Station Area Plan. And I just like to second what you said. I think that wisdom of the legislature in crafting this bill with the flexibility that it has is super important. We're trying to address our growth, but we also have to address practical realities, whether they are on the ground. And so this plan does recognize the significance of that park. The transit station serves that and the rest of your community. So I think it's a worthy plan, should be approved.
Amy Winder Newton, Salt Lake County. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion to this? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Is there any opposed? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Before we move on, I'm going to turn this meeting over to my colleague and friend, Commissioner Stevenson. I have to ask to excuse myself. I need to go. I have a plane to catch. And so we're going to turn to our Vice Chair, Commissioner Bob Stevenson, to conduct the rest of the meeting. And I appreciate all of you and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Don. It's
Safe
great that
travels.
We're able to stay right on time of our agenda here. So with that, we'll turn the time over to talk about our Transcom to Mark Shepard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got 4 items on our agenda today. Item number 5 is a review of materials provided in your packets. Item 5B, 5C, and 5D are action items. First, I know many of you have received emails and we're going to hear public comment regarding the I-15 corridor improvements from Salt Lake City to Davis County. Just important to note that this state project is already in our existing transportation improvement program from action that was taken over a year ago. Project's currently undergoing an environmental impact statements process led by UDOT with significant opportunities for public input. The outcome of that EIS process will guide what is ultimately designed and constructed. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Ben Withrich, the king of all things, PowerPoint, and let him take over.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So today, I'm going to cover 3 of the items that the mayor referenced here. We have one item that the Transcom took action on back in June. It's a report on that board modification. And then we have an action on the board mod today, and wow, that went fast. But then we'll talk about the approval of the new TIP, or the 2024-2029 TIP. In your meeting materials, you should have several tables. There's actually 4 tables attached to a resolution. Each of those tables has at least 4, except for the last page, of new projects that Transcom reviewed and approved. And this is an information item. And that approved resolution is also in your meeting materials. Are there any questions on any of these projects?
This was our modifications. I apologize for that. So yeah, at our meeting last week, Transcom reviewed the projects in that 2023-2028 TIP and recommended approval to the
Thank
board.
you. So here in these are the projects then also included in your meeting materials are those that will require your action. They have been reviewed by Transcom in the meeting, as the mayor indicated. And these projects then have been recommended by Transcom for your approval. For the sake of time, there are 5 sheets of projects, 19 different projects that are before you for your recommendation to be amended into the 2023-2028 Transportation Improvement Program. Are there any questions on any of these particular projects in the packet?
Okay, thank you, Ben. Seeing no comments on those, as I mentioned, Transcom did review these last week in depth and recommended approval. And so we need to take action on that as a council today. And so I would move that we approve the modifications to the 2023-2028 Transportation Improvement Program.
Jeff.
Chair, I'll make a motion. We second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's your meeting. I'm just making the motion, but you know, Chair's given me permission to call the motion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Ben, back to you for the 24-29.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is pretty exciting as we talk about the approval of the 2024-2029 Transportation Improvement Program. This is a big deal document, or a big deal as new projects are added to the program and as existing projects continue to move forward. This particular project, or the TIP itself, is a 6-year program of highway transit and active transportation projects. It covers the urban areas in the Ogden-Layton urban area and the Salt Lake West Valley urban area. So essentially from Brigham City all the way down to Utah County. It includes those projects that are funded with federal, state, and local governments. And it's for all of the cities, counties, UDOT, and UTA. It implements our long-range plan for highways or roadways, transit, as well as active transportation projects. It helps us meet the short-range needs, and it provides for the maintenance of our existing system. The projects are listed in the TIP include those projects of new construction, rehab and maintenance, safety and intelligent transportation systems, or ITS projects, as well as transit, operating and maintenance, and pedestrian and bicycle. Here's a few examples of projects that are in the TIP These are the new construction and widening projects. Some of these are just finishing up. Some of them are in the middle of the projects. But to give you an idea of the impact or the significance of these projects along the Wasatch Front. Isn't it cool to see a tractor pushing dirt? Anyway, then we get into the rehab and the maintenance types of projects. Some of these projects go along and aren't really even noticed until there's an issue. We have the operations and safety, and a lot of these projects happen to keep all of us safe. And then we have transit, capital improvements and operations. And then we have our pedestrian and bicycle type improvements. All of these projects represent millions of dollars. In fact, in the 2024-2029 Transportation Improvement Program, we have over $10 billion of projects over the next 6 years. Thousands of jobs, economic growth and development, the mobility and access along the Wasatch Front, preservation of life, and of course, to promote the quality of life that we've become accustomed to. These projects, or the tip, has to be financially constrained, has to conform to the air quality, and needs to be reviewed by the public and then approved by the regional council. So we went out to public comment and we provided the information for the project so that we were financially constrained, identifying all these projects and how they would be included in the tip over the next 6 years. We had the air quality memorandum that was demonstrates that we conform. Then we also had opportunity to take this information out for public review and comment. We also encouraged them to come to the webpage where they could look at what the tip is and to access our interactive map. Now, through the course of all of this, we received a pretty good amount of public comment. In your meeting materials is a summary of those public comments received. And then there's also each public comment that's been identified. Just for your information, there was 189 comments from the interactive map on specific projects. There was 108 projects on the interactive map as a general comment. There were 9 specific comments from the open house, and there was a couple through the email and other means. We had approximately 4,200, that's 4,237 plus views on our social media content, promoting the tip and the public comment period. 217 were engagements with those posts of the likes and shares and links and clicks. I don't know all the social media type of lingo, but there was quite a bit of interaction there for our public review and comment period. So what happens when we receive these public comments? We take this information, we collect it, and then we take it to our project management meetings. And in those meetings, where applicable, then it's applied to the project. And we've had many projects that have been tweaked or improved because of the public involvement process. But Mayor, this is all of the information we have for you at this time for approval of the 2024-2029 Transportation Improvement Program.
Thank you very much, Ben. And it is at this point that we had a motion earlier to take public comment. So I'm going to turn this back over to the chair.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Ben, just one thing before we move into the public comment. You know, your pictures and how you set that up on the computer is always really pretty dang cool as far as that goes. But I never saw any styrofoam blocks as far as that goes. I mean, you know, that's Carlos's from his early days stacking styrofoam.
Next time, Will.
Next time. Maybe at some point in time in the future, we can let Carlos and UDOT explain to us how that all works. It's actually a pretty cool thing if you haven't seen it. So with that, we will now open it up to public comment. I just want to remind those who come up to the podium there, if they'll please state their name and where they live for our minutes. Also, there may be someone online. What I would like to do is after our first public comment at the podium, then turn around and open it up if there's anyone online that we can move to them. So right now it's open to whomever would like to come up.
Can I say if there's anybody online that wants to comment, they could just raise it, right, Andrea, raise their hand in the whatever chat function. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, can I jump in?
Sure.
Really quick as a board member. We had an amazing event 2 weeks ago that a lot of you were participants in. And I want to thank WFRC, UDOT, and UTA. We opened what is probably close to a $200 million bus rapid transit system that's all electrified and everything else. And that would not have happened without what you mentioned earlier, Andrew, about collaboration between entities and everything else. And so I want to be on the public record saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's an enormous project for Northern Utah, Weber State University, and everybody that was involved in that. And I just, like I said, want to be on the public record, thanking all the people that participated in that. That was an amazing thing, 20 years of effort to get there. And it wouldn't have happened without the leadership that we have in this room. So I want to take the opportunity to say thank you all very much.
Thank you. It is a cool project. So, okay. Anyone would like to make public? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lila Rosenfield. Use she, her pronouns. I'm speaking right now on my own behalf and on behalf of any present or future employers. I want to start by just noting that this is my last day of my internship at WFRC, and I want to thank the staff as well as the council and org-ops and the executives at WFRC. Everything that was said in the annual report is absolutely correct. This is an amazing place to work. And I really, really appreciate all that I've learned, everybody that I've worked with. It's been a remarkable internship and I've had an amazing time. And that is a credit to everybody involved in this organization. On the sort of slightly more controversial topic, so project 19854 of the Transportation Improvement Plan within the STIP, I would just ask that the council consider forwarding along with the approval of the TIP request to UDOT to consider transit exclusive alternatives. So obviously, as we know that this process is currently in an EIS process, nevertheless, the current alternative development screening report, section 2.3.3 of the I-15 EIS states that no transit exclusive alternatives have been considered because it would not fulfill the purpose and need of the project. I think that this suggests either that there has been a failure in scoping or perhaps an incompleteness in scoping, or that there maybe should be some alternatives considered. Specifically, one of the parts of the purpose and need is to replace aging infrastructure. I think that an alternative should be considered that would replace aging infrastructure without expanding the number of lanes along the I-15 EIS, while adding additional transit and active transportation projects. I would ask that you, like with the previous RTP, just add a sort of secondary transmittal memo that would likewise request this consideration of UDOT as they go through this EIS process. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone online? If you'll, we do have Andrew. Okay.
Yes,
And one of the things we want to remind everybody, we want to please try to keep it to about 2 minutes as far as your comments.
Ms. Hall.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to join you today and provide public comment. It's exciting to see what the WFRC is doing to plan for the future of Utah and the Wasatch Front. My name is Melanie Hall, and I'm the Policy Director at HEAL Utah. Our organization has a long history of advocating for a transportation system that benefits both users and communities and addresses disparities in impact, mobility, and access as we work to promote clean air, clean energy, and protect communities from hazardous exposure. More recently, we've been working closely with Westside residents concerned about the potential impacts from I-15 expansion, including disruption to businesses, relocation of families and individuals during construction, and noise and air pollution. Currently, UDOT is in the process of drafting an environmental impact study in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act. This draft EIS is scheduled to be released this fall. And as recently as July, UDOT's project manager stated that everything we currently know about I-15 expansion is preliminary. Consequently, we're asking the Wasatch Front Regional Council to remove all funding items from the 2024 TIP related to I-15 expansion until after UDOT releases its draft. And there's a clear picture of the parameters of the project and the potential impacts to communities that continue to deal with harms of past transportation planning and poor air quality. More broadly, we encourage the WFRC to consider the cumulative impacts from emissions when planning Utah's transportation future, specifically from the expansion of major roadways like I-15 and Bangerter Highway. These impacts will affect the same communities that the EPA recently determined are subject to worse air quality and greater health risks. And finally, we ask that you consider the economic costs of a changing climate when funding transportation initiatives. From my understanding, materials used for road construction are based on estimates of a stationary climate. We ask that you take into consideration the economic costs of projected temperature changes and the possibility of increased infrastructure costs and rapid infrastructure failure due to rising temperatures. If these costs have not been addressed in this current version of the TIP.
Melanie, thank you so much for your comments. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. I think we have one more online.
Ms. Belland.
Thank you. My name is Sarah J. Bland. I reside in Rose Park in Salt Lake City. For the record, I use she, they pronouns. I've been an SLC resident for 15 years. I'm asking that those voting members who represent me and Westside residents in Salt Lake County on this body vote no on funding the TIP if it still includes interstate or highway expansion that will negatively impact SLC Westside community homes and public and green spaces, including but not limited to the proposed I-15 expansion from Farmington down to SLC, as well as the Bangerter Highway. As a prior speaker listed off a bunch of partnering organizations such as Tennessee Gardner Institute, Envision Utah, so on and so forth, I heard no Westside coalitions listed. I scanned your past meetings for evidence of this, not even mainstream entities who have been established as formal organizations for decades, building relationships with residents such as University Neighborhood Partners or NeighborWorks Salt Lake, just to name obvious ones, were included. Yet you have made it a core point of this meeting to laud yourselves repeatedly for your inclusion of regular, everyday folks in your public comment process. In reviewing the May 25th meeting minutes where the regional transportation plan was first adopted, no one at the May meeting was representing us. Mendenhall was absent. Mayor Wilson only tried to stop the Cottonwood gondola from being included. This is an institutional failure. It's not a failure of your SLC Westside constituency, who, as you should already know demographically, often have to hold down 2 or more jobs to make ends meet, are constantly being displaced and outpriced by housing costs, are diverse, often speak English as a second language, and have less socioeconomic capital than our fellow Eastsiders do. All this equates to the fact that your SLC Westside constituency has less time, energy, and political capital to have any power or say at meetings like this through no fault of their own. Maybe you're just, I'm still going if I still have time.
Okay, you got about 15 seconds.
Thank you. My neighbors can barely make school board meetings, community council meetings, city council meetings, legislative standing and interim committee meetings, let alone tracking this council's activities until UDOT puts signs on my neighbors' lawns about I-15 expanding. None of us have a clue about this. And some
Sarah,
remember
thank
that
you
you
so
are
much
not
for
on the
your
ground.
comment. Your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, I do believe we have one in the audience. Thank you. Go right.
Hi, my name is Gavin Goodrich. I'm from Midvale, and you're gonna have to excuse me because I have never really done public speaking before. However, I do want to emphasize the environmental concerns the last 2 callers had. Not only to mention that the truth is that we're acquiring millions of dollars that could really be used to solve the extremely detrimental things happening in our state, such as the severe homelessness, people not being able to have access to proper medical care, not having access to proper nutrients, and also, sorry, the drug epidemic in our state. The truth is that all of this money, hundreds of millions of dollars, is being accumulated, and we're simply stepping around these problems and trying to make just sidesteps around these problems, really. People are without homes. We have the money to build homes. Let's build homes, these roads, they only really help a certain amount of people, and that is the people who have access to that type of transportation. And still with the UTA system, we're not really fixing anything. We're just helping people get to work and continue to be corporate slaves. That's really all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You did a good job for your first time up there. So thank you. Well, now, is there anyone else who wants to? No one else online? Okay, we want to turn a few minutes over to our UDOT Director, Carlos Becerras, if you can.
Well, I would be happy to attempt to respond to any questions that the council members have. But in terms of the I-15 project, as one of the commenters mentioned, we are in the environmental impact statement process right now. And this is an evolutionary process where we learn and the project evolves. So we expect to issue the draft later this fall. The project is currently funded through the Transportation Commission at $1.7 billion. I anticipate the final will probably cost more than that, whatever we come up with, just because that's the way the prices seem to be going right now. We've done a ton of work working with the community, with the entire community up and down the corridor, especially in the Salt Lake City area. We can't, don't hold me to this right now, but we believe that, and we'll be able to figure this out in the draft. We'll at least get to the draft. We think we're not going to have any relocations of people in the Salt Lake City area. There's going to be relocations in other parts of the corridor. That's unavoidable, especially where we come up parallel with Front Runner and Union Pacific. The improvements are going to have to be made going to the east side more so. So we've worked hard to try to minimize those impacts in the Salt Lake City area and throughout the entire corridor. So again, we'll get the draft to go out, public comment period, and then what we're going to do is we're going to learn from those public comments, and I guarantee you the alternatives will evolve again from that point, and the process will continue, and we'll hopefully, I know we will end up, the process works, it's painful, it's disruptive to people, but we always end up with a better answer with going through the process with an open mind. I will say that, this is not a, we are thinking multimodal. The I-15 proposals to date have a lot of active transportation connections. So trying to connect the neighborhoods. We recognize that I-15 bifurcated neighborhoods. And so we're working hard to create those connections through and across I-15. And we're also working with our partners at the Utah Transit Authority, because really it's these improvements to I-15 coupled with the double tracking of Front Runner so that we can get to 15-minute peak hour service, because our future is going to depend very much so on more people choosing to use transit. So I don't know if there's specific questions, Mr.
Okay,
Vice Chair.
I think Carlton.
Yeah, I think you just might have answered my question, Carlos. The EIS itself, does it include a transit component? I know that we're working collaboratively on the strategic double tracking at Front Runner, and I also know that we're working with Davis County and Salt Lake City on the South Davis Salt Lake connector route that helps to manage the demand on that corridor. And I just wondered how the EIS takes that into account.
It's recognizing that those efforts are taking place. So we need both the I-15 improvements plus the improvements to both what, I don't think we've made a modal choice yet on the South Davis piece, but that Front Runner and the South Davis transit piece, those are all, basically when we do this, we recognize the components in the entire long range plan, and those are in the long range plan. And we take into account the cumulative impacts of all those projects together. That's all part of the NEPA process.
Mayor Silvestrini.
Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate that information. My community, I understand and respect the concern of residents on the west side of Salt Lake City with respect to air quality concerns, and particularly concerns about displacement of residential homeowners. And as a board member of WFRC, I am encouraged to hear that the Department of Transportation is attempting to plan this project to minimize those impacts and to hopefully avoid any kind of taking issues with respect to residential property in the west side of Salt Lake City. I'll say that, my community in Mill Creek along our northern boundary, we're seeing the expansion and reconstruction of Interstate 80, where they're adding another lane of traffic. And they are reconstructing a road that actually was otherwise failing. It was difficult to drive up that road in a tough suspension truck or car. So I-15 is there. I-15 is one of the lifeblood arteries of our transportation system in Utah and in the Wasatch Front Regional Council area. We can't abandon it to let it deteriorate to the point where it's not servicing our economy and the ability of people to get to work, school, and recreational opportunities. So yeah, I mean, a lot of us might think that if we had to reinvent the wheel, that we might choose more transit options than freeway options, but we need the freeway options. They're necessary to our economy and our jobs. And the other thing about this is that this organization is not neglecting transit. I just met with Senator Romney last week where we were talking about the double tracking of Front Runner, which will make that facility much more efficient to be able to get from Ogden to Provo. We're also working on expanding tracks into the point of the mountain area and into South Jordan, and to improve service and reliability. So the solution has to be multimodal, but this project for I-15 is necessary. And I also would just remind people that once again, we have an EIS process, and there will be plenty of opportunity for comment on that. I encourage people to pursue that. That's actually the appropriate place for that to happen under the legal framework under which we operate.
Thank you. Mayor Petro.
I'll make this pretty quick. Just as a past recipient of the benefits of the Wasatch Regional Front Council and working with UDOT and the Transportation Committee, I can tell you that they're very good to work with, and they will listen to all the public comments. And in fact, they will actually take a lot of their ideas into account. Just to bring some comfort there for anybody that has sent in any emails or those online that are listening. Just a really quick portion of that one, why I want to say that is along Highway 89, when they expanded that, all of the overpasses were going to be above grade level. And after the public comment and working with these folks, they were willing to make it below grade, which really enhance the visibility of anybody on the east side there. And as far as any relocation, obviously a lot of folks, we had to relocate them. And I did have 4 friends that personally had to go through that. And it was a very good process and they were taken care of. So I just want to, add that to the record and say thank you to everyone as well.
Okay, are there any other comments from you on the board? Okay, we'll turn time back over to Mayor Shepherd.
Thank you. Appreciate all of the comments and concerns. I think they're duly noted, and hopefully we'll continue with through the EIS process. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the 2024-2029 Transportation Improvement Program.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded by Carlton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 5D is when the tip is submitted to the FHWA and FDA, WFRC is required to certify along with UDOT that the regional planning process complies with federal regulations. Our Transcom meeting last week, staff reviewed this with us, reviewed the content of the certification, and the Transcom recommended approval. And so I would move that we approve the resolution certifying the transportation planning process.
Are there any questions on that? Okay, do I hear a second? Second by Carlton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that is unanimous also. We appreciate that,
Thank you,
Mayor
Mr. Chair.
Shepherd. So we'll now move on to our reports and other business. Item A is the funding opportunities for local governments. Ted, are you going to cover that, or Wayne? Wayne and Meg, okay.
Thank you. Given that we've got the opportunity, or that communities have the opportunity coming up over the next month to submit letters of intent for funding programs that the Regional Council administers, we wanted to remind you of and give you a bit of information about the different programs that are available. There are 3 types of programs: capital improvement programs, planning assistance programs, and other federal grants. And I'll talk about the capital transportation improvement programs, and Meg Townsend will talk about the planning assistance programs and other federal grants. And she'll also conclude with the timeline and contact information for the program leads. The Surface Transportation Program provides funding that may be used for projects on federal aid eligible highways, transit capital improvements, and active transportation improvements. Both the CMAQ program and the carbon reduction program provide opportunities for transportation projects that improve air quality. And lastly, the Transportation Alternatives Program provides funding for both planning and construction of pedestrian and bicycle facilities. And Ben, would you stand for just a minute? Ben Withrich is the program lead for these 4 programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Wayne went over these capital transportation improvement programs. Thank you. And I'm going to cover the planning technical assistance programs as well as other federal grants. So under planning assistance here through the WFRC, we have 2 programs. The first is the Transportation and Land Use Connection Program. That's for planning, any planning that connects land use planning and transportation and really implements the Wasatch Choice Vision, fits those Wasatch Choice Vision goals. That's eligible under the TLC program. That funding timeline fits right along with those programs that Wayne just mentioned. The other program on the planning assistance list is the Station Area Plan Technical Assistance, which we've talked about today, and that's available on a rolling basis. So that's on a different timeframe. I'm the project program manager for those 2, so you can get in touch with me or any of my team.
Okay, any
CDBG. The Community Development Block Grant Program is the first of these other federal other grants that we'll talk about. That funding cycle begins each fall with the how to apply workshop. That is mandatory if you're going to apply. And this is funding for low to moderate income communities, primarily capital infrastructure projects. The program manager for that one is Christy Dahlberg, right back there in the corner. Christy also manages our CIB program. It's a grant/loan program that can be applied for at any point in the year. CIB can fund planning and capital infrastructure projects in Morgan and Tooele counties. So note that both CDBG and CIB have a limited coverage. They don't cover our entire WFRC region. So check in if you're ever curious whether you're covered by WFRC or otherwise for those funds. Finally, the Wasatch Front Economic Development District is a federally recognized economic development district by EDA. The WFEDD's role is to foster regional economic development. It's one of our committees here at WFRC, the WFEDD committee. And we can also assist you in developing competitive grant applications to federal EDA programs. So reach out to Marsha White. She's online. I don't think her picture can show, but Marsha White's the program director for those. I'll mention it here in a minute, but reach out to any of us and we'll get you to the right person. Here is the funding program timeline for the first 5 programs that we've talked about today. So that's all of the short range programs, STP, CMAQ, CRP, and TAP, along with the Transportation and Land Use Connection Program for planning assistance. Those are the programs that fall along this timeline. We're in August. We're just about to send out a request for letters of intent to you. So look for that. Those letters of intent are due at the end of September. We'll review those, make sure you've come to the right program and that you're eligible, and we'll invite you to apply or submit a concept report. Those are due in December. We'll review those, and then the awards timeline is a little different for both of those programs, but applications for all of these programs are due in December. So take a look when you get that call for applications for letters of intent. Here is the contact info for all of those program managers that we told you about. And then here's just what that funding programs packet will look like when it comes into your inbox here shortly. And again, reach out to any of us if you have any questions about any of these programs or you're not sure which one fits you.
And Mr. Chair, I'll just add, this email is going to go out on Monday. It's going to go to the elected officials and also to your staff. And we want, do you get the theme here that we want to help you? We don't have enough money to do everything you ask for, but we want to make it easy for you to seek assistance, whether it's from us or from our partners. So the whole idea here is there's no wrong door, like Meg is saying, come to any of us. We try to make it easy for you to submit a simple letter of intent, and then we'll work with you and see if there's any way that we can get you the assistance you need.
Thank you. We'll now move down to item B, the Wasatch Front Economic Development District, and I believe Ted is going to handle this one.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Our WFEDD Chair, Commissioner Froer, is not able to do this, so he asked me if I would cover it since I was in the meeting. And the Wasatch Front Economic Development District met in June to discuss the draft findings and recommendations of the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. Now, so if the Wasatch Choice Vision coordinates transportation, land development, and economic opportunity, the CEDS, this Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, is one of those core products that advances and puts detail on the bones, meat on the bones for the economic development component of that. Well, so the strategy of the CEDS is to support the region's economic development ecosystem through 4 key strategies. One is to promote city and town centers of Wasatch Choice. 2, facilitate economic development capacity. 3, support human capital. And 4, leverage a diverse business environment. The WFEDD continues to work through the draft Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. In addition to the work being done on the CEDS, WFRC and the Economic Development Administration did a webinar regarding potential funding sources for the region. So that is an update on the activities of the WFEDD, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay, we'll move down to item C, our active transportation. We'll ask the famous Troy Walker if he'll lead us in that.
It'll be under a minute. Thank you. I just
You will
want
even be more famous.
Yes, the RAISE grant also applied to that 25 million also goes and assists in the active transportation planning, which we're actively planning and actively doing, actively in every way. The Sandy Mobile Active Transportation Tour happened last week. I wasn't able to attend due to my other job, but I know it went well, and hopefully it was informational for all. As we've looked at bicycle transportation, kind of moving forward, looking at specifically bicycle networks, one of the things our committee had an amazing presentation on from some folks from Lehigh who went to Holland and had an opportunity to kind of see how they do it there. And it was a really good presentation, but really focusing on directness, cohesion, attractiveness, comfort, and safety. And so as we continue to plan and look at active transportation from the bicycling perspective, especially, we're looking for ways to make the trails, all of those things, mostly safer and easier to use. That's my report.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there any questions for?
Did Mayor Johnson give you that picture of Holland that's behind you?
Now, that's our great Bear Claw Poppy Trail in St. George, Utah, that we always ride every year at the league meeting, right there.
Guess who's not running again?
So
Caldwell rides it on a single speed, at least he used to, when it's tougher.
Yeah, it's annoying.
So appreciate it, Troy. So that actually brings us down to the executive director's report. And before we do that, what I'd like to just do is remind everyone that we do have the League of Cities and Towns annual conference, which is the first week of September, which everyone is invited as far as that goes. Cam, is that true? Our next Wasatch Front Council meeting will be October 26th. And at the conclusion of Andrew's comments, we'll adjourn. We appreciate everybody as far as spending a few extra minutes on this. One last comment I would like to make is you look at that map up there and Representative Musselman, you don't know how fortunate you are now to be involved with this organization, because between UDOT, UTA, Wasatch Front, the cities, the counties, and the state, there has been more money made available and spent and done through transportation and everything that we've had in the history of the state. And it is really, really cool, the things that we're trying to accomplish. And we really appreciate you being with us. And hopefully you can continue to help push to get those dollars with us here. So thank you on that. So. On that, so.
And I would agree with the league, but it's more open to mayors and council members, those that have left and gone to the dark side.
So I
County
can't,
commission- Yeah, you're not, I don't know. You'd have to ask.
I thought
Cameron,
Cam said I was
but
going
I'm just
to
saying.
room with you. So, so anyway, we'll now turn the time over to Andrew and we'll conclude it with his closing remarks.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think you've heard me talk enough today. I'll just say once again, thank you, and let's go make these plans and visions a reality together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're adjourned. Oh, Ted's got one last comment. Blame it on Ted.
Parting note that we have copies of this map that we would love to get to you, both full size and half size. And so we will follow up with you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're adjourned. Appreciate it.
I move that Mayor Caldwell be allowed to make them